Alrighty, guys, so we got earnings out of Ulta Beauty a couple of days ago, and well, you guys know I started buying the stock a couple of days before earnings as a longer term hold, and you guys can see the earnings came out and Ulta Beauty shot up like crazy, all the way up to $433, and now we're pretty much right back to where we were before the earnings. So we're going to break down what happened with Ulta, the earnings, my thoughts, what I'm looking to do now after the earnings came out. And of course, guys, all I ask is for you to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe. It helps me out overall in the algorithm. And most importantly, take a sip of your coffee. You're going to need it for this video, guys. And let's just dive right into it. So I made a video, I think about a week ago, talking about how I thought Ulta Beauty and a couple of other stocks were undervalued, and there's not many stocks these days that are undervalued in this market where stocks are pretty much at all-time highs, at least the indexes are, right? So Ulta was in that video. We were talking about how the P ratio is super low. I think it was at 14 at the time, trailing 12 months, and the company is just trading super cheap compared to its peers, right? The company's buying back stock, and if you guys look at the revenue, they've been growing beautifully. And, well, the growth has slowed down. We'll talk about that in this video, but they're committed to getting that growth back. And, guys, to be honest, the comparables from last year, the year before, they're just unbelievable, right? The comps that we're seeing here for Ulta, insane, because they saw such big growth in 2020, 2021, 2022. That's kind of stabilizing a bit now, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how they're going to get that growth to start going in the right direction again, which they're not declining. I'm pretty sure revenues grew like 5% or 3 to 5% year over year. But yeah, we got the numbers. The stock shot up initially. Now we're right back down to where we were before the earnings. So let me show you guys what's going on here with Ulta Beauty. I'll pop my big old head down here to the right. There we go. Beautiful. And let's see what's going on. So Ulta reported net sales of $2.7 billion compared to $2.6 billion in the year ago quarter. So what is that? Growth of like 2-3%. Nothing crazy, of course. We can see here comparable sales increased 1.6%. Net income was at $313 million or $6.47 per diluted share, and I believe they beat on EPS and revenue. Let me come here and see. It looks like the estimates were for $6.24 of earnings per share on revenue of $2.72 billion. So, they beat EPS and revenue, which is good. And you guys can see here coming down a little bit compared to last year's numbers. We can see net sales were, again, $2.63 billion last year. They came in at $2.72 this go around, and comparable sales last year rose 9.3%. To give you guys some perspective here, right? 9.3%, and now it's at 1.6%. So the growth has come down a good chunk, which, of course, that's been priced into the stock, in my opinion. We can see that clearly based on how Ulta was at over 500, I think over $600 at one point. Now we're in the high 300s, right? So that's caused the stock to come down. And the Ulta Beauty team, you guys can see this note right here, delivered net sales growth of 3.5% and comparable sales growth, of 1.6% in a dynamic operating environment. And I think the CEO said, "I am proud of how our teams continue to execute, yada, 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 our transformational agenda, adapt to a rapidly evolving marketplace, and thoughtfully manage expenses across the empire," right? I don't know why I said empire. Enterprise. I guess it is an empire as well, a beauty empire, right? So coming down a little bit more, we have some key highlights here. We can see that gross profit increased 1.4%. to $1.07 billion compared to $1.05 billion from last year. As a percentage of net sales, gross profit decreased to 39.2% compared to 40%, not the end of the world there. And operating income was $400 million roughly, or 14.7% of net sales, compared to $442 million, or 16.8% of net sales from last year. So there are certain metrics here that are down year over year, and their guidance, which we'll talk about in a second here, has also been cut a little bit. But again, the company's committed to getting the growth back. And again, the comparables, guys, look at how much Ulta grew from 2020 to 2023. It is just off the charts, right? Off the charts. So yeah, cash and cash equivalents at the end of the first quarter of fiscal 2024 totaled $524 million. And by the way, speaking of the balance sheet, guys, they are looking pretty good, pretty well capitalized from what I'm seeing, right? So I'm liking that about the company. And the share repurchase program, I almost forgot. During the first quarter of fiscal 2024, the company repurchased 588,000 shares of its common stock at a cost of $285 million. So they're buying back stock, which is good news. Part of the reason why I bought the stock myself, not the whole reason, obviously, but as of May 4th, 2024, $1.8 billion remained under the available $2 billion share repurchase program announced in March 2024. $2 billion, guys. So think about it. They still have $1.8 billion remaining, so they're going to be buying a lot more stock. So the outlook here, fiscal outlook, they did cut it a little bit. We can see the prior outlook. We can see it right here for, what is that? Net sales for the full year. Prior outlook was $11.7 to $11.8 billion versus now they're looking at $11.5 to $11.6 billion. So they cut it a little bit, not the end of the world. And I'd rather have them cut that outlook than be like, oh, we're not going to cut it. Then numbers come in a lot under what they previously guided for, which the stock wouldn't like. So the company's, cutting the guidance a little bit, not the end of the world. And they're being transparent, obviously, which is good. And comparable sales, they previously expected for 4 to 5%. Now it's at 2 to 3%. All right, not the end of the world. New net stores, or new stores net rather, 60 to 65. That's the same. Remodel and relocation projects, 40 to 45. That's the same. Their operating margin was 14 to 14.3%. That is what was expected before. Now we're looking at 13.7 to 14%. All right. Diluted earnings per share was previously expected at $26.20 to $27. Now we're looking at $25.20 to $26 per share. So yeah, guys, a slight decrease there in guidance for net sales, comparable sales, and diluted EPS, which clearly the stock kind of anticipated, right? The stock was expecting that because we got all this information and the stock actually went up like crazy. Although now, we're right back down to where we were right before earnings, like I said. But guys, it's all good. I bought more shares. I'm still liking it, even though we erased that gain post earnings. I bought more. I don't really care, right? And we could see here their CEO, Dave Kimball, said, "We are not satisfied with our market share trends, and we're taking actions to reinforce our leadership position and accelerate growth." And guys, I listened to the entire 1 hour conference call, and he seemed pretty confident. And that's what I like to, listen to. I like to see how the management team is processing earnings, right? What the outlook is. And Kimball outlined 5 key areas in which the company is planning on taking concrete action: strengthening assortment through 25 new brands, including Ulta exclusives with celebrities like Serena Williams and Bella Hadid, right? Also accelerating social relevance through scaling its creator network, which I think Ulta has got a bunch of creators under their network, and their TikTok page has a bunch of followers across social as well, a bunch of other social platforms. They're also looking to enhance the consumer digital experience, which I think their e-commerce sales grew 4% year over year. And you guys can see the Ulta app accounted for 57% of e-commerce sales in the quarter, which is huge, guys. They want to continue to drive people through that app to buy their products, right? And they're also leveraging the loyalty program and evolving promotional levers, right? So there's a lot going on with this company. They're also expanding into Mexico, right? And when I'm looking at Ulta, I'm not trying to make it overcomplicated. It's not a complicated business model, right? They're a retail, chain, whatever you want to call them, that sells beauty, right? Beauty products. And that whole experience, I feel like, will continue to be in person, not fully. Obviously, people are buying online. Obviously, the Ulta app is accounting for a lot of e-commerce sales, which is good. But people like to go in for makeup, for beauty, and they like to see it in person. And this is really a valuation play. Like I said in my video last go around, I think it's trading too cheap for what the company offers. And I'm in. I'm buying, guys. I'm buying. And the fact that they're doing share repurchases, I love that. So that's pretty much the thesis, right? People like going in store for beauty. The valuation is super cheap. The management team seems focused, seems committed to maintaining the market share that they have right now. Sure, there's a lot of competition, but look, Ulta's got a lot of exclusive partnerships. They have a lot of people loyal to going to Ulta, loyal to the brands that they sell, right? I think this is a very solid play for me. Please do your own research, guys. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do, but that's kind of some thoughts here on Ulta and what's going on with their recent earnings. And full disclosure, I'm long. I started buying the stock at like $380, bought more earlier today in the mid 380s, and I'm planning on holding for quite some time. Now, if it hits my target, which is like 500 to 550, I'll gladly sell, but for now, I'm holding on tight. So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and check out my Patreon if you guys want to see my private portfolio, all the buys, sells, how I manage that. That's linked down below. There's a Discord as well, and access to me and my charts and ideas throughout the week. All of that's down below. The QR code's right here, or just go to stassurfest.com/Patreon. I'll see you on the inside. And with that being said, cheers. Have a great day.